Star Trek Prodigy, its first season, canceled. But it did find a new home on Netflix almost a year later. The cast and crew of Star Trek Discovery started their 5th season, and while they were making it, they learned that their show was going to be canceled. And that was a complete shock to them because they thought they had a hit on their hands, even though Rotten Tomato scores would suggest otherwise. Which brings me along to Star Trek Lower Decks, an animated series meant to be more like a comedy about Star Trek. It's been a mixed bag for me. It's had some issues. It's had some good moments to it. And its 5th season is about to begin. It's going to be its last, my friends. Star Trek Lower Decks has been canceled. That's right. The 5th and final season of Star Trek Lower Decks will be coming this year. The creators of Star Trek Lower Decks have announced that the 5th season will be the show's last. The adult animated take on Star Trek has been well received during its first 4 seasons, both among the Trekkies and animation fans. It may be sad for fans to see that the show's ending, but receiving a final season to wrap things up is a good way for the show to conclude. Star Trek Lower Decks follows the support crew of the USS Cerritos by focusing on the lower-ranking Starfleet members who do the menial tasks on the ship. The show tells a unique story within the Trek universe. The show trends toward episodic adventures, focusing on how standard Trek plots would impact the lives of those doing less than glamorous jobs on a ship. It gives the show a more grounded feel and allows for an in-depth exploration of small universe details most Trek shows would ignore. Okay, first of all, let's talk about something real quick here. The show tends toward episodic adventures, focusing on how standard Trek plots would impact the lives of those doing less than glamorous jobs. Have the guys over there at Screen Rant really ever paid attention or watched the show? I mean, by focusing on the lower-ranking Starfleet members who do the menial tasks on the ship, the show tells a unique story within the Trek universe. The show tends toward episodic adventures, focusing on how standard Trek plots would impact the lives of those doing less. This show doesn't do any of that. I mean, okay, no, I'm wrong. It does. But what goes on here is more stupidity than anything else. There's always chaos, reckless behavior, and it's just not what they're telling you it is here. These characters are hyperactive. My God, it's almost like they're loaded on something. One of the biggest accomplishments of Star Trek Lower Decks is that it has an appeal to audiences outside of the dedicated Star Trek fans. Without any knowledge of the series, it still functions as a funny, typically heartfelt, adult animated series. This is important as the franchise, particularly in the modern era, can often feel hostile toward new viewers due to the tense continuity created by previous series. Whatever. Really? Anyone who's new to Trek can pick up on any of the stuff, watch any of the series, and not feel alienated. This is a bunch of BS. Lower Decks is not Star Trek. It's just more like comic relief. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who are going to argue with me that it is Trek, it is canon, and yeah, now it is, because they've blended everything together. Strange New Worlds, I will give them credit there. Their episode, Those Old Scientists, when I first heard about that episode, I was skeptical. I did not think it was going to be pulled off nicely, but they did a brilliant job. But the problems that Lower Deck has is that it's the same thing every show. Boiler has a panic attack. Mariner decides to rebel against authority. It's just the same thing over and over again. And at the same time, it shows the senior officers as being a bunch of incompetent morons. Since it is the final season of Lower Decks, I hope the series ends on a good note, an ending that everyone can be happy with. And of course, for those of you out there who love it, you could probably purchase it on DVD or Blu-ray, or for as long as it's going to hold out on Paramount Plus. Whatever the reason for these cancellations, I hope that everyone had a good time enjoying Lower Decks. If you liked it, God bless you, great. If you didn't, if you're one of those fans who just think it was just an insult to Star Trek, I understand your feelings on that too. I am borderline on this one. Well, drop your comments below. Let me know what you think. Lower Decks canceling. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or, frankly, you just don't care? Drop your comments below and let me know. And until the next time, God bless.